Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. And we begin tonight with local coverage of the federal election. Here's what's top of mind for voters in Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore. Pratish Dayal has our top story.
I'm Pratish Dayal and I'm here at Tecumseh Mall, which is in the federal riding of Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore. And it's the first time voters here will cast their ballots in this newly redrawn riding. So what do voters here care about? We asked for their top election issues.
Obviously, education is a huge thing. My daughter needs extra help, so I really don't want those budget cuts.
Trump kind of like building a wall against the only companion that they really have.
This couple says they're undecided on who to vote for in this election. They say seniors' healthcare and inflation are their top issues.
Because we have a set amount of money we get in a month, and even if we do have our pensions from our previous jobs and things like that, it all gets eaten away.
I don't take away the drug deals that they have for us and the pensions and that sort of thing. I'm kind of worried about losing pensions.
For this first-time voter, affordability is a concern.
It's very important to look at more of societal changes within working class more. And I feel like a lot of parties are very focused on businesses.
This voter says healthcare improvements are top of mind.
More can be done by the waiting time on different tests being done, and it takes a lot of time. People have to suffer before they can even be diagnosed with what's going on with their health.
One voter I spoke with says the big concerns around tariffs is taking away the focus from other issues. David Best is blind and uses a Braille keyboard and a screen reader.
One of the big frustrations is the whole topic of disability rights is totally ignored by the campaign leaders. I've heard nothing about what they will do to help people come up out of poverty and obtain housing that is accessible.
Since 2019, Liberal incumbent and former city councillor Eric Kuzmiachuk has held the seat here, and the Liberals won against the NDP narrowly in 2019, then again in 2021. And you can find a full list of all the candidates running in this riding on our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Windsor.
In other local news, the University of Windsor has managed to pare down a multi-million-dollar deficit. Its operating budget was $42 million in the red, and that's been chopped down to $4.6 million for the coming school year. But it took a lot to get there.
Then we looked for ways to reduce that as much as possible, of course, to maintain the financial sustainability. So we eliminated vacant positions. We made some really difficult decisions impacting staff. We've obviously have a hiring freeze for a number of months now and had to do some layoffs, unfortunately. We've cut some of our part-time teachers, so sessional instructors where we could. And then we've really worked hard on the other expenses, tightening up contracts, renegotiating with vendors, doing those kinds of things.
She added that while they saved approximately $11 million by cutting staff, student services remained untouched. She says scholarships, mental health supports, and counseling for students were not cut. In addition to staff reductions, the institution leaned on one-time funding from the province. In the shadow of Donald Trump's trade war and Canada's retaliatory tariffs, Ontario's wine industry is seeing the silver lining. Cooper's Hawk Vineyards in Harrow has seen a significant bump in sales.
We've noticed those sales go up about 40% since the American product came off the shelf. So that's been super, super helpful. I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure people would switch that quickly, but they have.
So it's rather serendipitous that we've had these tariffs and American wines come off the shelf. We have more access for our consumers. So now we're seeing a real uptake in people choosing to be very patriotic as well, to pick up that 100% Ontario-grown bottle of wine. So yes, we're seeing that increase across the province.
American wines were pulled from the LCBO back in early March. Less competition on the shelves has translated in an overall increase in sales across the province at about 29%. That's according to the Grape Growers of Ontario. It says another factor is the removal of the interprovincial trade barriers. And now we have Colette Kennedy with our first look at weather. Colette, another nice mild day. A little gray out there right now, but not too bad.
Yeah, the skies are changing for sure, but up to essentially 25 degrees for today. So some really incredibly mild air in place. But some of the showers and even a few thunderstorms that have been bubbling up stateside are crossing that international border. Now, the lightning strikes, you're seeing several of those essentially out over the lake, but still some sprinkles kind of making their way through. And locally, there could be some heavier downpours. This is just for the evening. Then this pushes back out again, becomes partly cloudy overnight, very mild, 11 degrees, and just a beauty setting up for tomorrow. Katerina, mostly sunny and 26 degrees.
Awesome. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
More on the federal election now. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is pledging to give police more power to crack down on crime. CBC's Kate McKenna has more from his campaign trail.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is doubling down on his tough on crime message, reminding voters that violent crime has spiked over the past 10 years and saying he's the best suited to crack down on it and tighten bail rules so people accused of violent or serious crimes have a harder time getting bail. He's received endorsements from police associations, including the Toronto Police Association.
It means the world to me to have the support of our most courageous people, the police who put on a uniform and they leave in the morning kissing their kids goodbye, knowing that they may not return.
Poilievre has wrapped up his swing in the Greater Toronto area. He's now in Nova Scotia. It's his first time visiting that province in this campaign. After that, he's heading back out west to Saskatoon and Nanaimo, part of a big push in the final days. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Hamilton, Ontario.
The new Democratic Party leader was in Edmonton to talk about people forced from their homes because of rent increases. Jagmeet Singh says his party will push for national rent controls.
We're going to put in place in this next budget, we're going to fight for national rent control to make sure that no one has to worry about this happening to them again. We're going to ban corporations from buying up affordable homes because that's what they're doing. They're looking around saying, well, where's rent affordable? Because you know what we could do? We could probably triple that rent and make more profit. That should not be allowed. We have to keep affordable homes affordable. So we're going to put a moratorium on corporate landlords buying up affordable homes.
The target of Singh's comments was Liberal leader Mark Carney. He says his rival worked for a company that bought real estate that jacked up rents. Singh also says he didn't expect Conservatives to win the election and that only the NDP would stand up to the Liberals when it comes to rent increases. Meanwhile, Liberal leader Mark Carney was in British Columbia, hoping to win votes in ridings now held by opposition parties. The CBC's Ashley Burke is traveling with him and has this report.
The Liberal leader is back in BC. His party's going after ridings like this one in Victoria. It's been an NDP stronghold for almost 2 decades, but the party's hoping Mark Carney's second appearance here could help turn it red.
We will build things in BC again. We will grow BC's forestry sector while protecting it from Trump's tariffs. We will end the housing crisis.
Carney's visiting a handful of ridings today that his party thinks it can take from NDP and Conservatives. As part of his pitch to voters here, Carney took aim directly at Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre.
He's offering Canadians a fantasy of fiscal tricks and phantom growth. This is the time for experience, not experiments.
Carney was reluctant to say the word majority today, only saying that he's looking for a strong mandate. He's holding a rally in Surrey tonight as he tries to lock in votes here in battleground BC. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Victoria.
This is the first federal election since Facebook and Instagram blocked news from their apps in Canada. Their parent company Meta did it because it refused to pay for the Canadian news content. The CBC's Nicole Williams looks at what's filled the void left by legitimate news sources on the popular apps.
We will always put Canada first.
An online presence necessary to reach more voters, but the social media landscape is also fraught with landmines.
The threats of foreign interference, transnational repression, disinformation, and cyber attacks are real and pervasive.
It's something Elections Canada has been warning voters about since the start of this election. A tidal wave of fake AI-generated content, often with sinister intentions. And there's more of it than ever before, ever since stories from legitimate news sites were blocked on Facebook and Instagram in Canada. Take this post, for example, an article from last month purportedly from an actual news organization showing Liberal leader Mark Carney standing and laughing alongside convicted sex offender Ghislaine Maxwell. It looks real, but it's not.
As soon as it starts to become, hey, I'm trying to convince you that my political opponent said something that they didn't actually say, that crosses very quickly into dangerous territory.
A new study from the Media Ecosystem Observatory shows about a quarter of Canadians have encountered a social media post or webpage that falsely presented itself as a legitimate news source. Some of it from right-leaning groups like Canada Proud. Others, like this one, are crypto scams in disguise. The good news is that many Canadians are able to suss out fake content.
I think it's so easy to just kind of believe whatever you see on the social media or the internet. I think it's really important to sort of like fact check yourself.
Social media news is not news.
But not all.
It doesn't seem obvious. It feels like that's the end of what they were saying.
In a statement, Meta says it's made significant investments into protecting elections online. But the researchers we spoke to say it's not nearly enough. Fake ads and news content can still be found on Facebook and Instagram even well after they've been reported. And without some reliable news on some social media sites, the concern is that the discourse around this election will become less informed and even more divisive. Nicole Williams, CBC News, Ottawa.
The CBC Ask team has been looking at viewer questions about the election, and some of you have asked if using a pencil allows ballot tampering. Well, the short answer is you can use a pen or a pencil to vote. Here's the CBC's Avneet Dillon with more.
There have been some false claims circulating online about voting in Canada, so let's do a quick fact check. The first claim is that ballots marked with a pencil can be easily tampered with. That's false. Once you drop your ballot into the ballot box, it's only unsealed when it's time to count the votes on election day. There are no counting machines involved in Canada's federal election, and you can't vote online. All ballots are counted by hand at every polling station. The votes are counted by election workers in front of witnesses. They're never alone. Those witnesses don't work for Elections Canada and are often party representatives. Elections Canada has a video on its YouTube channel that goes through every step of this process.
The vote counting process is entirely designed to be transparent and reliable.
And as long as there's a mark beside a candidate's name, even if it's smudged, the vote counts. Here's some of the different ways you can mark your ballot. You can draw an X, a check mark, or fill in the circle entirely. But if you mark more than one candidate or write your name on it or any other name, your ballot will be rejected. Another claim circulating online is that Elections Canada only lets you use a pencil to mark your ballot. That's false. Poll workers are required by law to provide voters with black lead pencils, but you can also bring your own pen or pencil to mark your ballot. Elections Canada says it uses pencils because pens can dry up or leak, and an ink leak could end up spoiling your ballot. But you can absolutely ask an election worker for a pen instead or bring your own. And if your pen does leak and spoil your ballot, you can ask for a replacement ballot, but you can only do that once. If you have an election question or you see something you want us to fact check, email us at ask@cbc.ca.
Turning to a lighter local story now, a Windsor teacher has stumbled into a hobby that's really taken off and turned into a busy side gig. Here's his story.
Hi, my name is Lincoln Savvy. I make animal models for research, education, and display. It all started with a toad that I wanted to see if I could replicate. I recently got a 3D printer and I learned the capabilities of the machine, and then I was kind of testing my own capabilities as a sculptor to make a toad that replicated a real toad from the wild. I make all of my own models. I usually sculpt from reference photos that I find online. Like sculpting in clay, but the clay is digital. That's the way that I make these organic figures. The software turns that into instructions that the 3D printer prints. Very often it's somebody at a nature conservation authority or a museum or even a researcher who has a specific species that they want, and they'll ask me to make that one. Usually I'm making stuff for other people, but there are a few models that I've made just because I really liked the species and I wanted to make it. Any reptile I find to be more challenging because they have so much going on. Their scale patterns and things change over their body, so you kind of have to go through and sculpt each scale individually. My Blue Sky account, which is a new Twitter alternative that a lot of the science community has moved over to. I recently posted my deep sea anglerfish model on there, and it started to get reposted by a few different people, and one of those few people was Guillermo del Toro. He's known for Hellboy, for Pan's Labyrinth. He saw my model on there and then reposted it. Nothing more came of that, but I was happy to see that someone who makes cool monster movies liked my cool monster.
When we come back, our election panel is back. Stay with us. Welcome back. With the election just days away, we reconvened our panel of experts to discuss the election. The full video is available online, but here is a preview. The panelists dug into what it would take at the federal level to make Windsor's downtown core a safer place.
Well, downtown is not today. Long time we know the situation is day by day going worse. It's not liberal, it's not conservative, it's not NDP. It's the situation because of the opioid is the main crisis. We need to rehabilitate them and move them somewhere else, giving them the space where to live, where to stay, and how to overcome their problems.
Right. So Richard Pollack talked about, housing people who are currently homeless as one of the key ways to address this. Al, do you want to speak on this? How do you balance addressing crime and safety with social supports that people also need?
Well, actually, at the debate yesterday, Harb Gill mentioned that his wife's a doctor, And a lot of this deals with healthcare, mental health. The idea that the Conservative government used to give much more transfer payments proportionally to the provinces. Now they're all complaining there wasn't enough, which helps with provincial healthcare services, and that's number one. In the Pierre Poilievre Conservative platform talks about 50,000 placements. We're trying to treat people with addictions and people that really need the care to get them back into society to work. I will say that as far as municipalities, the downtown core, usually the direct politics is municipalities, and there's a lot of great champions. I'm going to do some name dropping because these are all friends of mine, okay? Ronaldo Agostino, terrific guy, Ward 3 councillor. He ran on, safety first. My friend Larry Horwitz, former downtown chair, always a huge advocate, investor of downtown. The late, great Mark Boscario, terrific guy. I mean, there are local champions for downtown. I think Drew Dilkins very much cares about downtown. Everybody does. There needs to be support from senior levels of government.
Yeah, there's no question that one of the biggest local champions that you didn't name drop, Al, is Brian Massey. Brian has been the one that's been advocating and working for several issues, like including the border, including things like we have a federal building downtown, the former HMCS Hunter building. That's been a year and a half promised that would turn into social housing. We're the only party, and Brian has been pointing this out, 30 years of cuts between Liberal Tory, same old story, just cuts and cuts to cooperative and social housing. And this is what you end up with if you don't fortify these programs. Municipalities need support, and they need support not in half measures.
Katrina, if I may, this is exactly the point that Harb made. Okay, when they start talking about we need to do this, we should do that, Brian Massey's been representative for 23 years. Why not have done it already? The Liberals have been in power the last 10 years. Why not done it already? There was another building downtown, the Paul Martin building. It was the federal Conservatives that set aside money for the brick facade and to make that beautiful, make a deal with the city. So Conservatives have a great track record for investing in Windsor, from the Gordie Howe crossing to the Paul Martin building to the auto bailout. We need to go back to 10 years ago when the Harper government had things affordable. There was less opioid addiction, right? Was there not less opioid addiction 10 years ago? Wasn't it better under the Harper government?
It's exacerbating as we go on because of the cuts.
The Conservatives weren't in power, though.
Yeah, no,
in the last 10 years.
But you have been in 20 years ago.
20 years ago, we're saying it's better. It was better then.
People told us when the first social housing cuts were made in a major way, the expertise, the subject matter experts said, this is what's going to happen 20 years down the road if you do not replace this. So what happens is you have cuts, then something is replaced in a half measure. Nothing has been totally fortified. We have to have a national strategy for this. And for you to say that it's only a matter of a plan that the Conservatives can do, they never did.
I agree with you that need to be done. Question is, Brian Massey last 22 years here, from our Windsor West, there is no voice. Ottawa needs a voice. The government needs somebody from Windsor West who can raise the voice, who can make the thing implemented.
The whole chat is available on our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We'll be right back with weather. Kennedy is back now with another look at weather. Colette, a totally beautiful day and so warm that it actually got up to the mid-20s today, right?
Yes, we did it. Some incredible readings there, right? Up to 25 degrees for Windsor. And it's funny because here we are, April actually feeling more like May or late May, when much of April was feeling more like February, wasn't it? Well, not the case. And even now our temperatures, still holding in the low 20s, so 22 for Windsor and Chatham-Kent. Unfortunately, with some of that breeze coming off the lake, there are some cooler readings close to the lakeshore, but London 21, over towards Kitchener even, making it towards 20 degrees. You can see that northerly breeze in Sarnia pulling that temperature on down, whereas it doesn't have the same effect in Windsor unless we were to see that kind of flipping around. Now, the other thing going on is a few of these showers or thunderstorms that have bubbled up and are moving through Michigan. So I was showing these earlier in the show where most of the lightning strikes now are out across the water, and just a few little remnant showers here, kind of passing showers moving through. And really this is winding down and weakening. And so as it does, we'll actually see it moving to the east, but drying out and clearing out. So then we become mostly clear through the overnight hours. And then the setup is great for tomorrow because there's a bit of a frontal boundary kind of setting up. Because of that, warmer air is going to surge a little further north, and it's going to get pushback from cooler air that's coming down from the north. Well, along that boundary is where those rain showers are, way up above the weather outlook banner, and we get to stay into a mostly sunny sky and in this mild and warmer air in that sector. So looking good. A few sprinkles probably late in the day staying south, so that's why it stays dry. Now things do change as we get into Friday, so just a heads up for that the beginning of the day should be dry, but then into the afternoon and especially those evening hours, a line of storms kind of bubbling up and moving through, and that may hamper your plans. You'll just want to plan accordingly if you're planning on going out on Wednesday evening, okay? Overnight temperatures will hold, just barely, but we'll hold at those double digits, 10 degrees that low for Windsor. 26 for tomorrow, beating today just a little bit. Friday still mild at 22. Again, the morning looks good. This is just clouds moving in, and this activity comes later in the day and carries on Friday night into early Saturday. And then we do get cooler temperatures on Saturday, still very nice, but we'll get the sun coming out too.
It's awesome. These temperatures have got me really excited.
Oh, I'm glad.
Thank you, Colette.
You're welcome.
And thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Good night.